Unexpected Journey, Memoir of a Siberian Deportee by Juzė Avižienytė-Žukauskiene. Translated from Lithuanian and narrated by Giedrė Kumpikas, niece of the author, and by Isabelle Kumpikas, the sister of the author. Chapter 14, The Price of Bread. A small skiff came up to our steamboat. A man was wearing a thick canvas-like jacket, on his head a sort of hat, and his face covered with a black horsehair net. It was a protection against mosquitoes. He asked for bread and offered fish in exchange. Someone gave him half of a small loaf of bread, and he a whole pail of very beautiful fish. But what to do with the fish? We had not yet become used to eating raw fish, and there was no way of cooking or frying them. The man refused to take the fish and gave the bread as a gift. The fisherman kept offering the fish. He had no money, and how could he reciprocate? And he immediately broke off a piece of bread and began to chew it. While the negotiations were going on, the militiaman noticed it. The fisherman quickly pushed himself away from the barge and escaped down the stream. "Stop, or I'll shoot," shouted the militiaman, but the man rowed full force ahead. We surrounded the militiaman and explained that the man had done nothing wrong. He had only offered fish. "I know them, privateers, instead of giving them over to the artel. See, the snake is bringing them to sell. I saw that you gave him something," raged the militiaman. We, naive people, did not know the price of bread because in our Lithuania, those who worked never were short of the dear bread. Someone blundered. They had only given a small piece of bread. The militiaman became furious. The commandant intervened and stated to the giver that perhaps he was getting too much bread since he was giving it to someone that he shouldn't have, so he would no longer receive any ration. We were proceeding further north. The next stop was Krylovka. It was a rather large docking place. Up to it came medium-sized steamboats with barges. They bring the most necessary supplies to the inhabitants of the taiga and take away the precious goods of the taiga: leather, animal fur, grain, and other things. I and Finkelsteiniene went ashore, since we both had larger families and for that reason would always go looking for some sort of food. A rather large group of people were gathering. We both started asking right away if they had anything edible for sale. "There's an eatery here. There you can get something." We went there. For a rather modest price, one was able to get some soup and fish. But into what could we put it? We refused the soup, but asked them to wrap the fish into some paper. We had forgotten that this was not Lithuania. "What, are you joking? We don't have a shred of paper. We have nothing on which to write something. How could you go around without a dish?" We didn't know we would find an eatery. There was no time to go back to get something, and to leave food when hungry mouths were waiting, we couldn't. I took off my silk scarf and said, "Put in 5 portions." "Oh, you will ruin such a scarf," exclaimed the cook. Finkelsteiniene, hiding in the corner, deftly took off her silk panties, folded them in such a way that one couldn't tell what sort of garment it was, and asked to put in as much as possible, and explained to me, "It's all right, they're clean." Yes, a hungry person pays no attention. It's only important to have something to put in your mouth. We returned to the barge smiling. This meant that as soon as we will land in a permanent settlement, we will start to work there and will be no hunger. Oh, those dreams, and how they disappointed us. We returned by means of some sort of soft asphalt, with which was covered a rather large area. We asked workers passing by what kind of pavement this was. "Oh, it's bread," they answered. We thought that they were joking, but they weren't. They recounted that in the spring there had been a big flood. The river had flooded the grain storage houses and pulled down some of them. The water receded only after a month because the snow melting in the northern swamps was continuously sending down new torrents. The place was level. The river itself flows slowly through the swamps, and so the flooding lasts for a long time. The ground remained wet. There was no way of drying out the grain. To that were also added downpours. The grain became softened. Later this summer he dried it, and it formed a crust. So now it will probably be very difficult with bread. We won't suffer because of that, since we only grow bread, but who eats it, we don't know. We have been living here for 10 years already. We only see bread, but we don't eat it. Wait, you will live here a while, and you will also learn. We, of course, could not believe that people who grew bread, wading through fields of grain, could have no bread. We had no time for explanations. We had to carry back our lucky find to our families and hurry so as not to be left behind. Some even smaller boats arrived. We had to rearrange ourselves again. Once more, there was a sifting of fellow travelers. Notes: Artel, a collective workers' association in the USSR. Krylovka, a city in the Tomsk Oblast district of Siberia.